Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast with Mike Trainer, Jay Jules, and John Depot. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the BBO NYG Podcast. I am Mike. That's Jules. That's John. We took a week off last week. It was unintended. We didn't mean to. I think all of us were just lazy. Well, me and Jules were definitely lazy. John went on another podcast. He definitely moonlighted on us. Went on a sales podcast. John, what was up with that, man? So talk about, we got to promote your boy's pod.
Yeah, so my boy Everett started a podcast called Sales Tales, Tales, like tales in the story,
like DuckTales. Woohoo!
What happened? Not like trim, but
Tales from the Crypt.
The idea behind the podcast, like for anybody who does in-home sales or just in-home services of any kind, when you're in people's houses all day, you have a kind of unique perspective on things and come across some pretty crazy shit. So the idea behind the podcast is just kind of sharing those stories. It's brand new. I was only his second episode, but yeah, it's called Sales Tales. And if you just want to hear how the part of the population that never invites people over their house, I could tell you as a 9.5-year veteran of in-home sales, the reason why people from your office or from your family that never invites people over is because they're embarrassed that their house is a disaster or they got some shit around that they don't want anybody to see. And that's why no one ever goes to their house. And we're in those houses because we have to be. So we get to see the underneath the rock of society. And it is fucking crazy sometimes. So tune into that podcast, Everett, Sales Tales. You can find it anywhere.
I've watched Hoarders before. So I just imagine you guys going in and just seeing garbage just thrown everywhere.
I'm good for maybe 3 or 4 of those minimum per year. Television worthy hoarders.
It's amazing.
I just a few weeks ago, I was at the guy's house. When we had that cold snap a few weeks back in the beginning of January and December, this guy lived in a condo, had just got home from surgery, had a fucking heart whatever surgery. And he was in this little ass 1-bedroom condo, 2-bedroom condo, not a place to sit down other than his fucking love seat. There must have been 175 empty 2-liter bottles of Pepsi, 150 boxes of Domino's pizza, and just every other possible thing of garbage everywhere in the entire house, except for the love seat that he sat on. The fucking lazy boy sat on, and then half of his bed. Every other place in the house, you couldn't see what his furniture looked like, couldn't see what his floor looked like. Everything was just disaster.
John, they weren't 5 cats that he lived with. They were rats.
There was no animals in the house, thank God, except for him.
I was gonna say, wait, there weren't roaches? There had to be roaches, bro. That dude was probably flicking them shits off those pizza boxes.
There's a possibility. It was cold out, so I think roaches don't really live in the winter, but I could be wrong about that.
If I had to go in that house, I'd be walking in with a hazmat suit. I'd be like, wait a sec, I'll be right back. I'll go in there looking like Back to the Future and shit.
You're not kidding, man. You're not kidding. Sometimes it's fucking crazy how people live.
Wow. Well, listen, It's not the Mix It Up podcast, and it's not your boys podcast. What is it again? Sales Tales. So look for that. Look for that out there. I'll definitely take a listen to it tomorrow on my way to work. I'll find that. I'll hit subscribe to it. But listen, it's the Giants podcast, so we got to talk some Giants. I figure we talk before we get into all the playoff games and everything. We got to talk a little bit about Giants because they are hiring guys, and I don't know if Dable is on the hot seat or not. What is up with that? There's a lot of things going around that we could lose all our coordinators. Kafka is now a possibility. He could be gone. I mean, he's hanging on by like dear life right now. But I don't know. Do people like Dable or not? Is he going to last a year? I don't know. I hope so, but I don't know.
I was just thinking about it a little while ago. Would it be possible that Dable gets let go? Obviously this offseason is too late at this point. Like you've missed the first rounds of, head coach hirings. If you fire Dable at this particular point would be just a travesty because you're dealing with, the second and third tier of available head coaches, which could turn out to be the next Bill Belichick, who fucking knows. But I just don't see that happening. And it's interesting that with Daniel Jones's injury and him due to come back next year, what do they do? Do they have conviction in their own judgment going back a year, signing Daniel Jones to this big contract, because now if Daniel Jones does come back and the team doesn't succeed and it's this question marks, it's not just clear cut, oh, our defense is just terrible and that we couldn't win a game, but we scored 32 points a game. If that's not the situation, then you need a new quarterback, and Dable and Shane will have missed the opportunity to draft their own guy and are likely cut as well. And then they'd go into 2026 in the new hiring process of a new head coach, new GM, and then having that guy draft his own quarterback in the 2026 draft. So it's interesting to see, do they have conviction and are going to stick to their guns with Daniel Jones for 2025, 2024, or are they going to now draft a quarterback this season with the idea that it buys them another year as head coach and GM of the New York Giants? It's interesting to see what they're going to do with this draft.
Well, I mean, listen, that's what all the talk is, right? About social media and everything else, is what's going to go on with this draft. Everybody is fucking convinced that we're going to go. Well, I shouldn't say everyone, but a good majority of people are convinced that we're going to go after a quarterback. We have to go after a quarterback. We can't do another year, Daniel Jones. We can't do this. We can't do that. But here's the thing that kind of plays into what you were just talking about, John, right? If we do go after a quarterback, chances are we're going to probably have to trade up to get one of the top three, right? I mean, that's what the current situation looks like. We all know, doing these podcasts and looking at the NFL Combine and how the draft works, that every time this year this becomes a hot topic, especially with teams that aren't in the playoffs or aren't a little longer alive in this situation of the NFL. But this discussion happens. And what usually happens, this top 6, 7 people that we discuss and that get drafted never ends up that way. Maybe the top 2 or 3, but never do you see this whole 7 work out the way that you talk about it in January, that you will happen in the end of April. A guy shows up in the Senior Bowl, guy shows up in Combine, guy shows up on OTAs or whatever the heck it is, and all of a sudden, boom, this guy catapults into the fucking top 5. So we don't know, right? But as of today, chances are we have to trade up, right? And if you're going to be on this one and done type of thing, and you think that Dable might be out of here after next year, or depending on how things unfold, then yeah, he might sacrifice draft picks and not give a fuck because he's not really worried about the future. But the reality is, with this team having so many holes in it, we don't fix it by putting a rookie quarterback in play. I don't give a fuck when anybody says Khalid Williams is not going to come to the New York Giants and all of a sudden this team's going to win 10, 11 games. It's not happening. We're not there yet. And that's what people can't fucking understand. There's other positions that still need to be filled. I mean, if you take a team like San Francisco, who's on the verge of going to the Super Bowl, who's in another NFC championship game for I forget how many out of the last fucking 4 or 5 years, right? They didn't fucking have a quarterback in place right away. They went out and got Brandon Ayuk. They got fucking Bosa. They went out and got fucking Deebo Samuel. They put all those things in place. Then they made a trade for Christian McCaffrey. Then they said they were going to try to put a fucking quarterback in place with Trey Lance. If you look at how the 49ers set up their team, it built it little by little before they went and tried to get a quarterback. So I don't think the Giants necessarily have to put themselves in a position where they have to do that. If at some reason there's other guys that catapult in, Arizona doesn't take a quarterback, maybe the Patriots don't take a quarterback. You don't know what Jared Mayo is going to do now. Then, and someone falls to 6, like a Daniels or something like that, then yes, you probably go. You have to take a quarterback, I guess, in that situation. I don't know, Mike. What are you feeling?
I mean, I'm not really like. I don't care about. I'm not really talking about the quarterback or the draft right now. I'm talking about the coach. Like, is Dable on the hot seat or not? Is he going to be the main guy to go? Like, he pretty much let Wink go as defense coordinator. He's going to probably let Kafka go. That's kind of leaning that direction. And people kind of like reminded me about it. This is what Tom Coughlin did after 2006. If you guys remember, we had a defensive coordinator named Tim Lewis, and, he got fired, and then we got Spags in there, right? And then we also had, John Huffnagel. He was the offensive coordinator at that time. And then I think in late 2006, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they pretty much let Huffnagel, kind of take a back seat, and they let Kevin Gilbride take over play calling as offensive coordinator, like the last few games. And then he got the job in 2007. And then the offense and the defense kind of played better. So I think a lot of people are hoping for that, me included, because I think everybody here just don't want to see the constant rotation of head coaches in and out different offensive coordinators, different defensive coordinators. We need some like stability in this organization for once, and we haven't had that since Coughlin walked off that podium, not shaking fucking hands with Mara and just leaving. So we haven't had it since, and it's been a fucking complete disaster, to be honest with you. Except for last year. Last year was fun.
I'm just nervous. Like I want to make sure these guys have conviction in what they're doing. I think that them drafting a quarterback could turn out to be the best thing that's ever happened to the Giants. I'm not saying that that's not a possibility, but what it does tell me is that it doesn't take much for them to second guess themselves and go back on a major decision. Because if they do draft a quarterback and he does end up taking over for Daniel Jones, that means that them keeping Daniel Jones and giving him that monster contract is a major L. And I just, as a huge Daniel Jones fan, I hope to see him as a quarterback of the Giants in 2024 and beyond, having success most importantly. But I get a little squeamish about, anybody in a position of power that is able to be dissuade from their own major decisions that easily. So I'll be paying attention from that aspect of it.
I think it's funny, Mike. You drew comparisons with Coughlin, right? And I was thinking about that the last couple of weeks, especially when all this talk came out about Dable and people and coaches not getting along with him and maybe not having control over the locker room and everything else. You mentioned how they changed coordinators and then the Giants kind of turned from there under the whole Coughlin reign. The difference there being is that Coughlin did take a Jacksonville fucking newly franchised team to an AFC championship game and had coaching credentials at Boston College. So he did have some head coaching sort of like credentials that he brought to the table. So kind of bought him a little more time. Whereas Dable doesn't have that long of a leash, I would say. But it is kind of similar, right? There's Michael Strahan and a lot of those guys in that defense hated Tom Coughlin. They hated him in the beginning, right? And then he changed some of his style. So, if Dable takes what he saw there and maybe changes one or two things, or maybe a lot of that's just hot air that's being blown around because Wink and him just didn't get along. Who knows, right? But you know what? The fact of the matter is he didn't get along with Wink. Wink's going because he's the head coach. That's the bottom line. And as far as Kafka is concerned, look, this dude's had a couple of seasons now to prove that he could be this offensive coordinator and be this offensive genius. You see these guys all over the league. They come up with great fucking things. They have good offenses. They're known for doing it. Maybe Kafka's not ready yet. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe he's not that guy. Maybe bring in a more experienced offensive coordinator or one of these young guys that have been doing it really good or under another staff. Maybe you bring them in and maybe they shine. Who knows, right? Because the fact of the matter is, I think he's averaging somewhere between 18 or 17 points a game for the last 2 years. That's unacceptable, man.
Another big thing to think about, we brought Dable in because he was supposed to be this offensive-minded head coach and have a major influence over the offense. Like, he's part of the Giants not having a huge point total each game, points per game. Like we could put it on Kafka's shoulders and whatnot and blame him and make him the sacrificial lamb or whatever the case is. But, I like Dable. I want him to succeed. I like Dable personally, just from like what I've seen from him in interviews. It just seems like a guy that, you want to root for, but there's no denying fucking red flags when you fucking see them, bro.
I'll be on the record to say, like, I want to just keep Kafka just based on the fact, because I don't want our quarterback, Daniel Jones, to have a ninth offensive coordinator in fucking 3 years. It's just getting out of fucking hand right now. It really is. And it does. And it kind of like, besides that, it kind of makes me wonder. Remember, like a couple years ago before Dable got hired, or I think before Joe Judge got hired, Wink was a candidate to be our head coach. What would have happened if Wink got the job as our head coach? Would things be different now? Retrospect, right? So I don't know, guys. Just crazy time right now to be a Giant fan.
Yeah, it really sucks, man. From 12 months ago, exactly. You look back exactly 53 weeks ago, we were on the high of highs. Dable comes in, fucking blue F-150, takes the Giants, makes them a fucking winner. They go out where they start 6-2 on the season or something like that. Go out, make the playoffs, win a playoff game. And to be here just 53 short weeks later to the day almost and have these question marks is just, it's a fucking annoying coming off of the 5-6 years before that, man. It's like, can't we just figure it out? Like, can't they just fucking figure out how to be? We don't need to be, listen, it would be fantastic for us to be like the 49ers, the next 49ers, 5 of the last 7 NFC championship games. That's all well and good to pray for, and that's what you want out of your team. But just fucking be competitive, bro. Like, fucking make the playoffs, come in as a wild card, win the division, for God's sakes. When's the last time we won the fucking division? Like, have some stability with the head coaching, some stability at some of these positions. Not that fucking, it's just a constant rotation of different players all over the place. Like, it's just annoying that we're back here again and having these conversations. We should be talking about how last year we won a playoff game, this year we made the playoffs, but we took a step back in one sense. We made the playoffs, we lost. Now next year, get a couple more players, and we should be a fucking Super Bowl contender. That's what we should be talking about right now. And we're talking about building from the ground up again next season after 2024. So we have like years before we can really have like confidence in, an NFC contender. It's just fucking annoying.
You know what, John, you mentioned some good points there. Like that does make sense where you don't want to keep having like this revolving door type of thing, because that's what gives that feel that you're building from the ground up. You're building from the ground up. There's a lot of key players on this team, right? There's a lot of good position players on this team. I mean, shit, we have more Pro Bowls or the same amount of Pro Bowls that the Buffalo Bills did, okay? So, like, don't get too caught up with thinking that, like, we're building from the ground up. That's why I say, and I keep standing hard and firm by it, that trading away our fucking our trades, our picks rather, for to move up for a quarterback hurts the team. We're not in that position yet, and people can't fucking understand that. Look, what's to stop the Giants? Let's just say for fucking, shits and giggles, we finish with the 17th overall pick next year, right? Just fucking whatever, right? And we decide to trade the 17th pick, a second round, and a first round in 2025 or whatever to move up. Then you hear people start bitching that their quarterback class in college isn't going to be the same in 2025 as it is in 2024. Like, it's nonsense, because that, you never know what quarterbacks are going to come out. You never know who's going to step up. I mean, you look at Jaden Daniels. He wasn't even mentioned 2 seasons ago, and now the kid's being fucking drafted in the top fucking 3. You know what I'm trying to say? So stop with the bullshit that there's no quarterbacks in 2025 draft class. Take the advantage of having all these picks that we have early on and build the fucking team. If it has to be another year of Daniel Jones and we only win 6-7 games, so fucking be it. Let us see that we're in a team that's just a quarterback away. Or understand that fucking Dable isn't a guy for a head coach. Understand Kafka isn't an offensive coordinator. Maybe Shane isn't a really true GM. Blow the fucking thing up one more time and get it right. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's what we should be focusing on instead of going back and forth. Too many people draw a line in the sand and say, well, if you're not for drafting a quarterback this year, that means you want to support Daniel Jones. You know what? Fuck Daniel Jones. He hasn't done shit. He's had 5 fucking years, hasn't done a goddamn thing except win 1 playoff game. That's it. So he's on. If anybody's on the hot seat, Mike, it's Daniel fucking Jones, and that motherfucker's on his way out.
Well, listen, I kind of agree with you there with like San Fran, because San Fran, like, they built their team. All right, they tried to get their quarterback, they failed. With trading all the draft picks to move up to get Trey Lance, but they still got lucky. They got Brock Purdy, so they have such a good team that Brock Purdy apparently is like the weakest link on that team. Everybody's talking about because he had a bad game last week, but all of a sudden, what about all the other good games that he had? Because they had such a great offensive fucking team and play calling, by the way, because play calling matters and protection. Yeah. Don't forget they got Trent Williams as fucking as their left tackle. They got a fucking line, so they protect his ass.
Yeah,
and he makes the right fucking plays. He had a bad game last week, and listen, I'm all about that. If Daniel Jones is not going to be the Giant quarterback, I don't think it's going to be for a lack of talent and not that he can't get the job done. For me, it's just like the injury bug. He's always hurt every year, and you can't. If you have to be able to stay on the field, we got lucky with Eli. But he has to stay on the field in order for him to be the quarterback of the New York Giants.
I mean, look, and you know what? They always want to throw out the big top names, like Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. These guys don't get hurt. Any year that Lamar Jackson got hurt, Baltimore's fucking team was garbage. You know what I'm trying to say? Like staying healthy is a huge factor to all this type of shit. And people fucking have a tendency to ignore that. You know what I mean? And part of it is because their offensive lines are great. and they keep him upright for most of the game. You know what I mean? And but one thing, and I don't want to pick on Jones too much, but one thing that I've noticed a lot about this NFL playoffs, and I'm kind of foreshadowing what we're going to get into in the next like 15 minutes or so, but I noticed that a lot of these quarterbacks that are still alive, maybe with the exception of Purdy, and Goff maybe, but they have great pocket awareness and they move around in the pocket. I mean, fuck it, their pocket awareness is exceptional. Like that's really what you need in this day and age in the NFL is good talent around you and good pocket awareness where you could feel pressure, you can move around better, you could get out of that pocket, fucking still create a play. That's sort of what Jones is lacking in his game a little bit that I haven't seen in those 5 seasons. You know what I mean? And that's what we're missing, and that's what they think we're gonna hit the lottery with one of these fucking quarterbacks coming out of this draft.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's easy to forget what Jones did for the Giants last year. He authored 5 or 6 fourth quarter come from behind wins, a couple of which broke records. That was him who did that multiple times, including in the playoffs in a hostile environment in Minnesota. So we can pretend that the kid can't play ball, but when he was given an opportunity to succeed, a true opportunity to succeed, the kid came through and fucking did his job well enough for us to have some fucking exciting ass games in 2022, and that fucking playoff game was incredible. So I don't know. I don't want to say he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. When the kid could play, he fucking played well, bro. He played well. He played
all right. He played all right. They still weren't
breaking records
putting up 30 points a game. You know what I mean?
When you're breaking records of points deficits overcome in second halves and fourth quarters, and your back's against the wall.
Giants records. Yeah, but Giants didn't necessarily have to play from behind that
for 99 years, bro.
There's so many different ways to look at that. And the bottom line is what Mike said. I have to completely piggyback on that. Is the injury bug. The guy can't stay on the field.
That I can't argue with.
Stop, man. You know what I'm saying? And your quarterback, especially in this day and age, with all the rules that are in place to protect these quarterbacks, he still ends up fucking hurt all the time. Bro, it's just that alone that you could literally kind of just put Jones's story to rest.
Yeah. I mean, what's best for the Giants is Daniel Jones coming back healthy and being a very good quarterback for the next, 5-8 years. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves on trying to fucking write him off, because that automatically means 2 or 3 seasons of not good Giants football. So for the time being, he is the Giants quarterback. We should root for him and want him to succeed as much as any other player that plays in fucking for the team or in any other team that you like. So,
amen.
Yeah, man. That's it.
Amen.
I mean,
hey guys, I don't mean to interrupt, but according to Adam Scheffler, am I saying that correct? Schefter. Jim Harbaugh has just signed as the new head coach of the LA Chargers.
Oof.
That just broke as we're doing the podcast. So if I was a little distracted on my phone, I was trying to fucking cross-reference it and make sure it was a fact before announcing it. But yeah, it looks as if he's going to fucking LA. Ooh, interesting move. Just to kind of put a little side note in there real quick. Sorry, breaking news, He's
smart, man. He went today. They got their quarterback. They got their line. They got some wide receivers, running back.
They got a high draft pick.
Pick. Smart. It's smart for him to go there.
Well, him going there, he's playing against some fucking good teams. He's got a well, I guess not really. A couple of years ago, the AFC West was a fucking tyrant, but now it's really just the Chiefs. You're not really scared of the Raiders so much. You're not really scared of the Broncos at all. So who else do they really have to contend with? Just the Chiefs.
The Chiefs. Yeah. Which we're going to get into in a minute.
Yeah. I mean, you got to contend with the Chiefs, but that doesn't mean that you can't be a successful franchise. If you're, if you got one great team in your division is great, but that doesn't mean that you can't still fucking contend. So.
And just on a side note, news with the Giants so far as what they have actually done to sort of better themselves for the 2024 season. They went out and signed Chase Cota, wide receiver, and Jimmy Morrissey, who's a center, to future contracts for the 2024 season. They hired Aaron Wellman as the executive director of player performances and Joel Thomas as the running back coach. Joel Thomas was the running back coach at the Saints. Saints have actually had a pretty decent running game for the last few seasons. I know you could put Kamara out there, but even with that going on, they always seem to put a guy in there when Kamara was out, and that guy was still effective in the run game. So those are two encouraging signings at the very least to say that the Giants are moving in the right direction. We'll see how it pans out. Obviously, this later on this year.
They also signed the offensive line coach from the Raiders, Carmen Brasillo. I mean,
that's the only one anybody cares about, John. All these other names were like, we don't give a fuck. That's the guy, because the way, if you perform like shit as a group, you know your name's gonna pop up, and you don't want your name to pop up in the newspapers and fucking social media nowadays. That's for sure.
And he was one of the first things that they did this offseason. That this news happens on the 13th. Today's the 24th, so that's a bit old news. We definitely would have talked about it last week had we recorded. But that was one of their first moves that they made, and it is one of the more important moves they will make this offseason. And we just got to hope that, finally, after how many fucking offensive line coaches, they found the guy that can make the offensive line work, like actually fucking be a positive for the team. Like somebody's got to fucking come in here and do it.
Apparently, a lot of people in Vegas were like kind of disappointed that he ended up with us as in the Giants. Like he took a lot of lower drafted talent and turned it into a pretty efficient offensive line. So hopefully he could continue with that and make a name for himself here in New York. So fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah, and it's a gimme, so I'll take it.
All right, before we take a quick commercial break, I don't know if people know this, but you guys remember that website Photo Bucket that kept all your photos online? I got an email from them saying like they're gonna start charging now. It was like a free service, and they're like, "Yo, hurry up, your account's gonna get deleted." So I finally looked it up. I did like the 7-day trial. You have to use your credit card, and I'm gonna cancel. After I take these pictures off this fucking website. And Jules, I came across a picture of you from back in the day, man. This has to be no joke. John went to Puerto Rico for our friend Marshmallow's bachelor party, and there's a picture of Jules in there. I'm gonna somehow get this off. I'm gonna send it to you guys in the group text. It's fucking hilarious. I might have to put it up on BBO NYG podcast, Jules. It's that funny.
Jesus Christ, dude.
So yeah, just going down.
Man. How many years
look
ago
so young?
Again?
We look so young, Jules, but we were definitely the same fucking people. But listen, we'll be right back on the Big Blue Offensive Podcast. All right, we are back on the BBO NYG podcast, guys. It's playoff time. We're not in it, unfortunately, but a lot of teams were in it, man. We were off a couple weeks ago, so we didn't talk about Dallas just getting absolutely murdered at home, and they're still just gonna go run it back with what's his name as the head coach, and
McCarthy and Dak are supposed to coming back.
It's just
bringing it back with Dak.
I think the Dak Prescott's playoff Dak. He always like fails. That was pretty much like the main upset, and then this past weekend,
Philly losing to the Bucks.
Oh yeah.
Forget about that one now. On Monday night.
You're right. I almost forgot about that because I was like, shit, like fuck the Eagles, man. Fuck them.
They lost to Baker Mayfield. Hey, listen, Baker played his ass off against Detroit. I'll give it to him.
Yeah, he did. He did against.
He did well.
He did the game for a little bit, for sure. And then, unfortunately, the upset for this past weekend was Buffalo. Their very last game, it kind of like sucked, but it's like it's Mahomes. We should have known.
But is it though, or is it more that the NFL wants to continue banking on fucking Taylor Swift?
Yeah, they want her to go.
Look at it from this fucking perspective, right? They get another fucking week. They'll get all the Swifties involved. You know, Travis Kelce with his shirt off, bringing up a fucking little girl to go meet Taylor Swift in the box, and all this bullshit. So that the NFL can keep cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yes.
Bring it to an AFC championship game, and then it doesn't fucking matter because guess what? The next game's the fucking Super Bowl. And you're making billions of dollars on commercials anyway, so who gives a fuck?
I know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen? Mahomes, Chiefs, they're going to win. They're going to beat the Ravens. They're going to go to the Super Bowl, right? And then when the Chiefs win it, Kelsey's going to get down on one knee, propose to Taylor Swift in front of millions and billions of people around the globe, and then he's going to get shot in the arm with another Pfizer shot.
So wait. Right there, I'm going to just pause for a quick second because we'll get into more details regarding this. But just give me what you would say a dream Super Bowl would be for you, John, at this current moment with these 4 teams.
Well, I'm all in on Detroit. I want to see Detroit win it. I don't know why. I just want to see Detroit if I can make the Super Bowl and win. I'm not a particularly I don't like the 49ers. I don't like the Ravens at all. I don't like the Chiefs. I'd like Patrick Mahomes to end his career with the same amount of Lombardi trophies as Eli Manning. I think that will only add to Eli's legacy. So a dream matchup would be Lions versus Chiefs, and Lions coming out on top.
Oh, I love it. What about you, Trader?
Wow. See, like I was thinking before, right? If you have the Chiefs win, right, and they face San Fran, it's a Super Bowl rematch, right? If you have the Ravens win and the San Fran wins, that's another Super Bowl rematch. Detroit's the fucking oddball here. If they need to win in order for this to be a different Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm gonna root for the Lions, to go there because I definitely want to see the Lions in the Super Bowl. But as a betting man, and I'm gonna put my money.
Oh, we said dream. We'll talk about bets later. We said dream right now. Okay?
All right, the dream. Well, my dream involves me gambling, so it's really hard. So I would have to say, listen, I'm gonna go. I'll put a little money on this anyway. I would like to see Detroit and Mahomes.
Yeah, and then Detroit obviously winning, right? I mean, look, to me, that is probably the best possible scenario to end this fucking season. They did that stupid Netflix quarterback fucking one, whoever the hell it was called, and they let fucking, Pat Mahomes happened to be one of the three quarterbacks, and oh, look at that. He ends up winning the fucking Super Bowl in that season. And now all of a sudden, Travis Kelce gets some love from Taylor Swift, and fucking look at this shit. They go from being a suspect team to Rice being this fucking all-star wide receiver for them, and Kelce being healthy. And here are the fucking Chiefs again in the AFC Championship game out of fucking nowhere. It's shocking, right? So let them fucking continue on. Let them get into the Super Bowl, and let Detroit, who's never fucking been to one, fucking shit on their parade and win a Super Bowl. That would be the fucking greatest thing ever, bro. I swear to God, I would fucking love it, bro. That would be the second closest thing to the Giants winning. You know what I'm trying to say? Like for real. Like just to shit on them, see a team that's never fucking won and be that team that beat them, where Pat Mahomes would probably never play Detroit again. It'd be great, dude. Fucking awesome. Like you can't script it better. But the NFL, look, you know what's driving me nuts about this fucking playoff and everything else is that the NFL years ago, if you guys remember, used to have no salary cap. And you would see that's when the 49ers and the Cowboys, 80s and 90s, they had all these dynasties, and they put the cap in place to try to not create these dynasties anymore. And then what happens? The Patriots become one. And because fucking Brady lost to Mahomes in that AFC Championship game, even though he beat him in the Super Bowl the following year, but he lost him in that game. All of a sudden now, it's like the NFL has to have Kansas City and Pat Mahomes and fucking Andy Reid as their new dynasty. It makes no fucking sense. It's the same fucking teams over and over and over again. This shit is getting boring. It's getting fucking boring, man.
It was like the
NFL is so stale that they fucking hook their fucking hooks into Taylor Swift. She's a fucking multi-billionaire. Let me repeat that. It's with a B, billionaire, who's just fucking feeding into this fucking machine. It's all bullshit. Like, this shit is turning into the WWE for me, bro. It really is. Like, it's almost at a point where Hulk Hogan's going to slam Andre the Giant and win WrestleMania. Like, it's stupid, dude. Like, I can't anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting tired of this shit. That's why I am fucking rooting so fucking hard for Detroit right now. They probably ain't going to do it, but I would love to see it.
Me too.
I think anybody who's not either a Chiefs or a Taylor Swift fan, if it is Chiefs Lions, anybody who's a Chiefs fan or a Taylor Swift fan is going to be rooting for the Chiefs, and the rest of the world is going to be rooting for the Lions. Because you're right, bro. it gets annoying when it's the same team, like NBA. It was LeBron James versus the Golden State Warriors like 5 years in a row, or whatever the case was, 4 years in a row. It was just like, it gets boring after. You want to see different teams in there. You want to see your own fucking team in there most importantly. But when it's the same fucking 5-6 teams that are competing year after year after year after year after year, it's like, okay, now it's like a formality. Who's going to take it home? What topics are we going to talk about as far as that's concerned? And then, all right, well, now it's a draft. Let's fucking get some new blood in there, man.
It's true, man. To me, it's fucking boring. Like this shit, this playoff is getting stale now, right? You know what I mean? Like no one wants to see the Chiefs continue to win because you know what? In my honest opinion, they're not that fucking good. They're okay. They're okay. Don't get me wrong. Pat Mahomes is arguably one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the NFL. But outside of that, and look, if you watch that divisional game, Josh Allen, maybe his stats don't show it, but he outplayed Mahomes. He did so much more in that game to try to help his team fucking win. It's not his fault that Stephon Diggs dropped the 75-yard bomb. It's not his fault that his number 2 receiver was fucking out. So the guy he was throwing to couldn't catch a pass, couldn't catch a cold in the fucking winter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was, he was making plays, throwing laterals, running up to the line of scrimmage, faking the defense, throwing the ball, fake slides, all this shit, creating, doing everything he possibly could. And fucking Mahomes just makes 1 or 2 big plays and boom, they go on, they fucking win. Like, it's just, to me, it's just retarded how fucking much this shit is almost looking scripted at a certain point in time.
So if you own the NFL, right, or teams in the NFL, and you could say, I'm going to leave everything to chance, or I'm going to continue to increase the amount of billions of dollars I'm going to make each year. I just have to have some influence on these games, not to mention Vegas being a part of the conversation as well. I mean, if I own the Giants, you own the fucking Jets, and you own the fucking Cowboys, along with 29 other guys owning the other 29 teams, and we can fabricate a WWE style situation where you can kind of influence what happens in the seasons. I mean, think about it. If the WWF, before it was even the WWE, was real, and Vince McMahon and company couldn't create the storylines and create The Rock and Stone Cold and The Undertaker and all these big brands within brands that people fell in love with, and it was just a natural, organic thing, I don't think that Vince McMahon would be worth $50 billion, whatever he's worth, that he just sold the fucking company for. So yeah, I mean, you can't blame them, because it is, after all, it is just a business. It's an entertainment business at that. They're not saving lives. They're not fucking educating the world. They are there sheerly to entertain Americans and those abroad. And you can't really blame them if they do fucking have some influence and they want the Swifties and they want the fucking, the big pomp and circumstance of the teams like the Chiefs or the Patriots when it's their turn. You get it. We're all in business. We get it.
Even still though, like with the WWE, WWF, right? Hulk Hogan wasn't the champ for 20 years, right? Like they had Hulk Hogan, they had Macho Man, they had Ultimate Warrior, right? Then they had The Rock.
Yeah,
they switched the motherfucking thing up, man. If Hulk Hogan remained the champ for 20 years, how fucking boring would that shit be?
I hear you, but
you know what I'm trying to say, dude? Like, stop, man.
There's one Super Bowl each year, and they have 50, 60 different events for the title to change hands in the WWE. So naturally, you're going to have a lot more changing of the guards as far as belts are concerned. Then also it's a fight sport, so it's a little bit different from that standpoint. But the fact remains, Vince's ability to create storylines and create superstars and all that shit and have, more drama and not just be an organic fucking thing like the UFC is, you can't deny that it's going to make you more money if you can do it right. And if the NFL is looking to make more money, which they are, it's hard to argue that they would entertain the thought, if nothing else, of having the Chiefs and having the Swifties and all that shit, and especially Chiefs 49ers, because you have, California involved as well, not fucking Detroit. The market is not as big, even though everybody does watch the Super Bowl. But guys, let's pick these games. Let's fucking wrap up. It's fucking 45 minutes already.
Well, the NFL does want a lot of they like to include everybody, including they're having a night for the LGBTQ, all the other letters, the Wednesday before the Super Bowl. So
what does that mean?
I don't know. I had to, I guess,
what
just
are they gonna do?
What are they doing?
They're gonna celebrate them. Like, why can't they celebrate us? Like the heterosexual people. Like, hey, I'm just regular. Celebrate me, man.
They are. When Travis Kelce proposes to Taylor Swift on the 50-yard line with the Super Bowl ring, that's when they'll do it, Mike. There you go.
Okay.
No, listen, like I said, the 49ers, you said what, 5 out of the last 7? Fucking 6.
I don't know. I made that stat up. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know but it's something close to that. And then what, fucking 6 straight or 7 straight for the fucking Chiefs. Like, dude, change it up, man. People are bored with it. It's boring. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, but I think I said
we can blame Travis Kelce's penis in this case.
The sad world we're living in. All right, let's stop talking about this shit. The picks. There's some spreads. 2 games on Sunday. The first game's at 3. Next game 6:30. All right. The first game. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, They're getting 3.5 points against the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. What do you see happening in this game? I'm never betting against Mahomes. So
if I'm going first, it's not even a question. It's the Chiefs. For every reason we just talked about, plus more. I just think that the Chiefs are going to fucking not only get the points, but they're also going to just win outright, and they're going to the Super Bowl. I don't have any doubt in my mind that's going to happen.
And again, that'll just play into the whole fucking notion of how rigged the NFL is. If you notice, the NFL is rigged is my fucking name for today.
I saw that before.
All right, but like, you know what? With that said, on paper, being the number 1 seed at home, best defense in the NFL, they beat the piss out of fucking San Francisco on Christmas Day. Okay. And they haven't skipped a beat. They came in, they took out a hot fucking Houston team. They looked on fucking fire in that second half. Like they woke right up after having a couple of weeks off. Dude, it's going to be hard for Baltimore and Lamar to lose that game, man. I'm going to take Baltimore, and I don't know if it's just because I'm feeling it because I hate the Swifties and I hate the fucking whole Kansas City situation. But man, if there ain't a time for Baltimore to win, it would be now. You know what I mean? Like it really would. This is supposed to be their fucking year for sure.
All right, Mike's on you. Who are you picking?
I already said it's Mahomes. I'll never bet against Mahomes ever again. It's just I can't do it. I tried doing it against Buffalo. I thought it was Buffalo's year. This motherfucker wins it. Like Buffalo, if Diggs catches that deep bomb, they probably score too quick anyway, Jules. And they leave Mahomes fucking 4 minutes to go down and score a game-winning touchdown. The Chiefs are going to win that game no matter what. It didn't even matter if Tyler Bass missed a field goal. By the way, Tyler Bass deleted his fucking Twitter and Instagram and shit. So Buffalo Bills fans are probably harassing him and shit.
Well, just real quick that you brought that note up because it was a little crazy. There were death threats and all this kind of shit going into the poor guy. However, Bills Mafia, for what they say, literally turned it around, and he has like this charity that helps like cats and animals and stuff like that. And because of it, everybody started donating it. And as of yesterday, it was like over 100,000 that was already donated in that last 24 hours to help his charity, to show that they still support him and they have his back. So really, those people were probably guys like us that were angry that he did miss that kick and it cost us because we were all in on the Bills. That was probably who was sending them all those stupid messages. But yeah, as far as the community is concerned, they really backed him. And the fact that he missed that kick and it was on the anniversary of Scott Norwood's, I don't know what to put with that. That's a little crazy and a little scary at the same time. But yeah. Buffalo's got his back at the least.
Well, good for him. At least there's good people in the world. Right. Next game. San Fran are playing the Lions. San Fran is favored by 7. I'll go first, guys. I think it's, obviously we all want the Lions to win, but as a betting man, I have to go with San Fran. I think they're too deep. The defense is too good. They're going to throw Goff like a little bit of fits, and Purdy comes back. I think he has a great game because it's the Lions. They have the worst pass defense. The only thing that kind of makes me a little bit worried is Debo's 50-50 on the game. That throws a little wrench in it. But after the way I seen that kid Jennings play at wide receiver with Ayuk and Kittle, and of course you got McCaffrey there. I'm not too worried about it. I think San Fran I think they have a dominate game, actually.
Yeah, I'm going with Detroit just from my heart. I want them to win. I don't want to see San Fran win.
I'll be honest with you, Mike. I'm watching that spread close, man, because I got a feeling it's going to move a little bit, and it's going to move in the direction I want it to move in. Because if you could give me 7.5, I think I am going to take Detroit. I'm going to be honest with you. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, because look, give me that point. I think they could keep it within a touchdown. I don't see why not. Look, they might lose. And look, they lost I don't know, 34 to fucking 27 or something, right? Okay. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you cover on that half point and it's in there. I don't know, man. They've surprised a lot. They seem to be a team that steps up to their competition. That's what I've seen out of Detroit a lot this year. And when they play with lesser teams, all of a sudden they're in a fucking game with a dog shit team. And then they beat the Chiefs. And let's everybody forgets about that. They beat them on Thursday night to start the fucking season. You know, they got some big wins too. So I don't know, man. You know, Goff's got a chip on the shoulder. I'm St. Brown. That dude is fucking for real. They got a rushing attack in Montgomery and Gibbs. Like, bro, they can hang. They can hang, man. I listen, I'm telling you right now, let that spread go up and I'm jumping all over it.
You could always buy points if you
Yeah,
want.
I know. I might.
You know what I'm saying?
I might buy points and fucking and give points or something. We'll see how it goes. I got to see how I'm feeling on Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
That's it.
That's it, man. So that's it.
I don't mind doing the picks when it's only fucking 2. This is great.
Yeah, it goes quick, right? Oh shit!
It's a wrap.
Well, that's it, man. We wrapping it up. That's it. That's your fucking playoff picture down to the final 4. Unbelievable how fast the season goes. And before you know it, we'll be talking about the Senior Bowl, followed by the fucking NFL draft. But until then, be safe. Don't go too crazy like the trainer and I like to do on the weekends, betting and drinking. But, you know, do it if you want. Why not? Who gives a fuck, right? But anyhow, we'll try to be back next week. And next week, we're fucking hungover from this to fucking championship Sunday. But if not, we'll be back next week. Like and subscribe. We love you guys. Peace.
Win some money. Go Giants.